Hello, and welcome to Player Housing Basics. I'm Aly,
And I'm Zaine.
and today we'll be giving you a tour through one of Zenith's newest features and show you how to get started customizing your very own home in Zenith, the Last City.
Player housing in Zenith has been one of the highly anticipated features since the game's release. And now, with the 1.3 major update, players can finally start building out their custom instanced housing unit. Zenith's player housing is located in a skyscraper north of the Nexus Crystal in Zenith City. Following the signs that are posted throughout the area will bring you to the housing menu at the base of the tower. Here is where you can purchase your home or view the houses of other players. The list to the left of the keyboard input shows a limited number of player houses and is sorted by current population, with the more populated houses at the top of the list, and with priority given to friends' houses. If the player whose house you'd like to visit doesn't appear in this panel, you can use the search bar on the right to bring up their name on the list. If the names shown don't change after beginning to type, clicking the refresh button at the bottom will update the list to match your current search. Since player housing is account-wide, you'll need to know the Skywave account name of the player in order to search for their instance. If their name still doesn't appear, it's likely they don't have a house purchased yet. Once you've bought your house or found your desired instance, clicking on the Go Home button or selecting the player's name from the list will teleport you to the selected housing instance. If you're out in the world and away from the access panel in Nexus, you can easily return to your housing instance by clicking the Housing Fast Travel button highlighted in purple. Note that you will need to purchase a house before this icon will be visible on your world map. You can also invite players to your home by bringing up the player interaction menu, selecting their name from your friends list, or from your guild list. And then clicking the Invite to Home button that will appear. Other players can invite you to their housing instance in the same way, or you can click the Visit Home button from these same menus to go directly to their instance, as long as their privacy permissions allow it.
Newly purchased homes will come with some fully furnished rooms as a starting point for your own creativity. But you are free to rearrange or completely redo these rooms if they don't fit your idea of the ideal home. When first starting out, you will be limited to a single unit, but you will be able to buy additional space using the menus that will appear in front of each unlockable area while in build mode. Each additional room will cost a different amount depending on which area you're trying to purchase. But if you have the funds, you can expand your home to cover the entire floor of the building. When you're ready to start customizing, click the Enter Build Mode button on one of the wall panels above the Exit Home button. Before going over the menu and interaction systems for build mode, I'd first like to clarify some terminology that will be used in this video, and take a second to mention that the controllers used here are the standard MetaQuest 2 controllers. The interaction system for the player housing menus uses the controller buttons in very specific ways. So for this video, when we reference grip, we're referring to the lower button along the handle of your controller. And when we say trigger, we mean the button that naturally rests under your pointer finger. Grip is reserved for climbing on walls and other objects in your home, while trigger is what you use to select and grab an object to move or reorient it while editing, so it's important to understand the difference. When you enter build mode, you'll see a main panel attached to one hand and a secondary panel connected to the other. Toggling left-handed mode in the comfort settings menu will swap the hands that these menus are attached to, so if you feel more comfortable with one or the other, you can easily swap their positions. The main panel is where you can see and select the different items that can be added to your house, as well as access the different tools available for fine-tuning your space. Note that navigating through this menu uses neither grip nor trigger, but instead relies on a small interaction orb that you can see attached to the pointer finger of your other hand. Simply touching this orb to any of the buttons will allow you to press those buttons, and swiping along the build palette allows you to scroll.
The default page that will display on the main panel is the Assets menu, which contains all the items available for purchase, with the cost of each item shown in the top corner of its menu icon. Building assets are separated into 6 categories which can be accessed using the tabs at the top of the page. The top 3 categories are pretty self-explanatory, with the Structure tab containing walls, windows, and other structural pieces, furniture and decor covering all the little pieces and extra details you can add to make the place feel lived in. The bottom 3 categories are a bit less intuitive. Utility covers specialty items like a permanent cooking station, crystal lighting, and a stereo system, so you can listen to the fantastic new lo-fi version of the Zenith game while chilling at home. The number of utility items you can have in your home are limited by the amount of utility points you have. However, this total is also shared by power items, so it's good to keep an eye on how many items of each type you are planning to place. Power items are a unique category of items that will provide stat bonuses to all of your characters when placed in your home. You can obtain the first set of power items by completing the main story quest, Enhanced Gear, which will unlock the crafting blueprints on that character. Once a recipe is unlocked, you will need to craft the actual items using the appropriate crafting station. Crafted power items will appear in the building tab of your inventory once complete. Duplicate power items are allowed, but due to a limited number of utility points you have available, you can only have a certain number of these items in your house at the same time. So choose your perks carefully. Once placed and saved to your home, your active power items will show up in the new slots at the bottom of your inventory page for easy reference of your active bonuses. Finally, the Styles menu is how you can change the color scheme of certain pieces of your home. To add a new item from the build palette, point at the item in the menu with your offhand, and using Trigger, click and drag the item into the world. Once your item is in world, you can continue to reposition the object with the same trigger click and drag you used to place it. While moving the object, it is also possible to rotate or delete the item using the joystick on your offhand to select the corresponding options from your secondary menu. Moving the joystick up will rotate the object clockwise in increments of 45 degrees, and moving the joystick down will delete the item. Deleting an object will refund you its purchase price, so don't worry if you place down a high-value object by accident. Sometimes when trying to rotate an item using the secondary menu, you might not see the item actually begin to rotate. This is likely due to the object not having sufficient space to change to the new orientation. Moving the object to a more open area will let you reorient the item how you'd like, before moving it back into the desired position. Keep in mind that if you are in left-handed mode, the joystick motions for the rotate and delete controls are also used to move your character around. So be careful to reposition yourself only while not holding an item, in case you accidentally delete the object by trying to walk backwards. The final tab in the Assets page are the Style options. Similar to item placement, you select the color from the Styles menu by using Trigger on your offhand while pointing at the color you want to use. However, instead of a click and drag system, style changing only requires you to click once on a color in the menu, then you point your cursor at the item you want to change, and press Trigger again to apply that style. The selected style will remain active and can continue to be applied to assets in your home until another style is selected, or you swap back to a different item interaction tool. The eyedropper tool to the top left of the style menu lets you copy a style from an existing item in world and paste it onto any other item that can change its color scheme. To use this tool, first select it from the style menu using Trigger, point at the item whose style you want to copy, then click on any other object to apply that style. Like when selecting a style from the menu directly, the copied style will remain active until another style is selected, or you swap to a different build tool. Keep in mind while using these style tools that not all objects can swap to all styles, and some will only be available in their default color scheme.
The other page on the main panel is the Tools Select page, which can be accessed by pressing the Tools button using the orb on your offhand. Alternatively, you can toggle between the Asset and Tool pages by simply pressing Trigger on your primary hand. By default, your main tool will be the Move tool, which will allow you to grab an item that has been placed in World and change both its position and rotation using your offhand and the rotation option that will appear on the secondary panel. A symbol corresponding to your currently active tool can be found in the small diamond above your secondary panel for easy reference. The Rotate tool will allow you to rotate selected objects without changing their position in World. With this tool, you are only able to rotate an object around the vertical axis, so if you're looking for a different orientation, you'll need to combine this tool with the use of the next interaction mode, the Hand tool. As its name implies, the Hand tool allows you to pick up objects using the interaction orb on your offhand, and by holding Trigger, which lets you then manually change the position and orientation of the item. If you need to delete a lot of items and don't want to use the more cumbersome method of deleting via the secondary menu, selecting the Delete button in the Tools panel will let you delete any object with a single trigger click, and will keep that function until you select another tool. The next pair of options in the Tools panel are the Lock and Unlock buttons, which are extremely useful as you move to the finishing stages of your interior design. Selecting the Lock button will change your cursor to only highlight objects that are currently unlocked and able to be moved. Selecting the highlighted object with your trigger will lock the object in place and prevent any interaction from the normal build tools. Unlocking works the same way but in reverse, with the cursor highlighting only locked objects, and selecting the item unlocks it, allowing it to be moved or deleted. The Tools panel is also where you can find the Undo and Redo buttons when they become active. If one or both buttons don't appear in this menu, that's simply because there are no undo or redo actions available. The last few options on the Tools panel are the Snap settings. These control how the selected object positions itself relative to the build grid, ground surfaces, and other objects when being moved. With Snap Surface selected, the object will automatically align its bottom edge with the nearest surface, making it easy to place things on tables or have your walls fully reach floor to ceiling. If you want your item to instead be floating off the ground or positioned partially below the floor, make sure to disable this option so you can move the item away from the surface plane. With Snap Grid selected, items will snap to the grid lines provided, allowing for easy alignment of walls and furniture within your home. If you're having trouble getting the position you want while staying within the lines, then toggle this option off for full freedom of movement. The final option on the Tools page is the Snap Object setting. As the name implies, this setting will cause the object being moved to snap to nearby objects already existing in the home. This option is disabled by default. As you're building, you can keep track of the cost of the proposed changes as well as the number of items you currently have in your home using the panel to the side of the primary panel. Keep in mind that there is an item limit as well as a maximum number of utility points available, so it's good to monitor those limits as you add detail. If you try to add more than you can afford, any additional features will be highlighted in red, and you'll be prompted to remove some items before being allowed to exit build mode. When you're finished with your changes, touching the Exit button with your interaction orb will save your new design and exit out of build mode. If you decided you didn't like your changes or made a mistake somewhere along the way, you do also have the option to exit without saving using the button at the bottom of the side panel below the other Exit button. The final feature that we'd like to highlight is the permission settings options that appear on the panel next to the Housing Action menu. By checking and unchecking boxes, you can set your house privacy preferences based on who, if anyone, you would like to allow in.
Now it's your turn. Get out there and start decorating.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more Ez and Zealots content, and remember, it's GG easy with EZ.